Good evening and good to have you with us on the Friday edition of the Urban Debate. It's been a sensational twist that we've seen to the mega gold smuggling scam that rocked Kerala a few months ago. And in many ways, viewers, this is unprecedented and perhaps something dangerous that has taken place. We hope that none of the other states follow suit. This is an example of where a state police has booked officials of a central probe agency. In this case, the Enforcement Directorate officials have been booked of criminal conspiracy and fabrication of evidence and charges. So, today we got this news that the Kerala police has filed a case of criminal conspiracy. Officials, public servants framing documents with the intent to cause injury, fabricating evidence, placing in false evidence, threatening anyone to bring in this false evidence, threatening people to give statements to create this false evidence. Now let me tell you, the main accused in this Kerala Gold Smuggling Case that's been investigated by the ED, the main accused is Swapna Suresh. Now, she claimed that she was being pressured by the Enforcement Directorate to implicate the Chief Minister of Kerala in this case. In fact, there is an audio clip that's also gone viral, and Swapna Suresh says, yes, this is her voice, though she doesn't know when it was recorded because she spoke about this to several people. But this voice clip, viewers, seems to suggest, and you can hear the voice, the woman's voice in it, saying that the ED forced her to name Pinarayi Vijayan. The woman in this audio clip also says that the ED told her that if you name the Chief Minister as part of your statement, then we will give you the option of turning an approver in this case, from prime accused to approver. And that she also claims in this audio clip that she was not even allowed to read the statements, her statements, before she was made to sign them. Now, this isn't the only time such an allegation has been made. Just a few days ago, the fourth accused in this case also wrote a letter claiming the same, that he had been pressurized by the Enforcement Directorate to name the Chief Minister. And so now we are staring at a situation that the Kerala government has filed a counter case against ED officials. Is this political vendetta? And if it's political vendetta, is it on both sides? Keep in mind, this is election season even in Kerala. Or is there a genuine case here? I will also ask a larger question about how this may set a dangerous precedent for all other states, especially the opposition-governed states, who may now turn around and start filing counter cases against the officials of central agencies, stating that they were all trying to frame them at the behest of the BJP. Let's say good evening to the panelists who are joining us right now. Professor Dinesh Varshney of the CPI, Vinod Matthew, senior journalist, joins us this evening. Matthew Anthony, leader of the Congress, also a lawyer. Mr. Kailash Vastev, senior advocate with the Supreme Court, and Anand Gurumurthy, spokesperson for the BJP, joining us this evening as well. First up to Mr. Dinesh Varshney. Professor Varshney, even if there is evidence that suggests that there was some malafide, why not wait for the trial to play out and the courts to decide on the alleged fabricated evidence or anything else?
Look, Tanvi, let me present my case to you and please allow me to have without interruption. Number one, the custom department comes under whom? The government of India, central government. The diplomatic bag comes under whom? The government of India. Who was the advocate of the Swapna Suresh? He was a BJP member. The BJP denied, say no, he is not. But the mother of that boy says no, he is a member of the BJP. The clearing agent was BJP closer. The other person who is also a OG Hariraj is also closer to the BJP. Now, when the video claims that she has been forced to make a statement against the Chief Minister, I would like to ask you a question or ask the question to the BJP or Home Minister all, where it is written in the law that if the central agency officials try to fabricate the evidences against the elected Chief Minister or anybody in the state, that they cannot be booked. The law permits that the state can go for the case. Let the court decide. We are not saying that the law should not law should not follow the course. Let the law follow the course, but law should follow the course for both the central government as well as the state government. We are a federal country. Our constitution provides us the federalism. Our constitution does not prohibit the autocracy or dictatorship or elected dictatorship or corporate dictatorship to malign and defame the elected government of the Kerala. Where was that ED? I am asking you certain questions which is very pertinent to ask to the people of India and let the people of India know. Where was this ED or Income Tax Department when 750 crore rupees were deposited in 5 days in a bank of the Ahmedabad where the Amit Shah was the director, board of director member during the demonetization, no, during the Notebandi, nowhere. Where was this ED when Amit Shah's son was involved in 16,000% profit? Where was this ED when the state government of Madhya Pradesh was involved in the Vyapam case, many of the ministers? I am very sorry to say that as and when the case comes against the central government, then they say it is an attack on federalism. As and when the attacks comes on the state governments, which is not belonging to the BJP or which is anti-BJP government, not belonging to those political parties which is aligned with the NDA, are the attack on the federalism. This is one-sided approach. This is a partition approach. This is a factionalist approach. This is a political Vedanta against the governments elected by the people of India, people of the state, against the BJP wishes, not belonging to the BJP. In fact, the BJP is trying to make a coup against the elected government, non-BJP elected governments in various states, including Maharashtra, including Chhattisgarh, including Jharkhand, including Kerala, including everywhere. You see, and no cases is found against any of the BJP leaders. Are they so that honest? Everybody knows what happened to the Vyapam case. Everybody knows what happened to the Chikki Gotala. Everybody knows what is in the Rafale. Everybody knows what is in the other highway Gotalas. Everybody knows what was there in the Gotala of the fall down of the flyover in Banaras and zero FIR. What is these things? We are not defending corruption. Whether it is done by anybody, whether it is in Kerala or we oppose to the corruption, we are against zero tolerance. We have a zero tolerance against corruption. But at the same time, the state government has full right to protect the evidences provided or the witnesses provided by the video claim.
Okay. So the clip obviously has become a big part of this. Then there is what Swapna Suresh, the key accused, is saying. It has to be taken with the pinch of salt. She is a key accused in a very big case. There is also another accused who's similarly made these claims via a letter that's been written to the court. And we're going to get into all of that and into the merits of it. What I have started off with is a very basic point, that when the central agencies act against the opposition parties and their governments and file cases, the opposition cries political vendetta. So is this a counter response to that? Now, before I go to our legal experts, Anand Gurumurthy, go ahead and respond, please.
See, Kerala government and Kerala government agencies have this precedent of, accusing the wrong people and then making them go around in the judicial system. So, Mr. Dinesh Vasane, professor, you have named a lot of people and you have made all kinds of allegations. I just ask you personally, where were you when ISRO scientist Nambi Narayan was fighting his cases? Where were you? You tell me that. You accuse a lot of people from BJP. BJP has been in governance from 2014 in the central and 99 to 2004. Where were you when ISRO scientist Nambi Narayan was, falsely accused? His whole career went into the drain. Where were you, Mr. Professor? Where were you and what were you doing at that point of time? Did you accuse anybody? Did your government do anything that was, constructive for his life? He lost his entire life. A brilliant scientist lost his entire life. Because
Mr. Anand Gurumurthy, I am very sorry. We did.
You don't have any answers for these things. So please answer such questions. Only then your government has any right to even come out and say that our officials are doing the right thing. They made him go through the judicial system. He was a very brilliant scientist. He was part of ISRO, and throughout his life he fought for only one thing, that he did not do anything. And finally the Supreme Court had to clear him, and finally he got a Padma Bhushan. But tell me, his youth was lost. Where were you then? Please answer that, and then you start your accusations.
Okay. I would just say, if that is the case of false cases and fabricated evidence, then the Kerala government's stand gets validated, that they don't want to wait for years together for somebody's name to be cleared up. They are filing their counter case right away. But Professor Varshney, 30 seconds to you before I take it to our other panelists.
Look, Tanvi, it is not like this. The problem is the BJP do not understand one thing, that under federal character, the law and order is bestowed with the state, not with Mr. Amit Shah for entire India. He can do for union territory, he can coup the elected government, he can make a coup against the elected government of the Delhi by making the NCR amendments, Act amendments, but he cannot make a coup against the full statehoods. So therefore he should know that the state police and the state government has full right to file a case against those central officials, those who try to work on the behalf of the masters of them. They should work impartially. They are welcome to do it. Nobody stopped them to take the statement of Swapna Suresh. Nobody stopped them to take the statement of Uji Hariyar. But why have you not taken the statement of the custom officials and the diplomatic bag? The diplomatic bag is directly governed by the foreign ministry in Delhi.
Okay. Allow me to come in here now, Professor Varshney. We will get into some of these details in just a bit. But Mr. Kailash Vasudev, to you before I go to the others. Legally, the state may have a right to file this case if there is a complaint and evidence. But how many of such instances have we seen where when a central agency is probing a case, there is a counter case by the state?
Good evening. You see, in the political system which we have a federal structure, you have a central government, you have state governments. Normally, there was a respect for the law and order situation on both sides. But over the past 2 decades, we are using the might of the government to invoke jurisdictions of the police and the law enforcement agencies, be it the customs, be it the central police, be it the CBI, be it the state polices, and so on and so forth. Now, they're not to be used in this manner because this is making an allegation at a point of time when elections are around the corner. These allegations eventually go into charges go into trials, and trials eventually lead to acquittals. That's happened in so many cases. Now, the larger question today is, do we take a tit-for-tat situation? Does the center and the state have a standoff over a particular situation for the purposes of pressing an election or an electoral battle? The state has powers under the second schedule to the Constitution for having a police force and law and order. The central has wider powers because it goes in the national interest and looks up to the whole nation. This standoff which is there is a bit of an akin situation to the provision of the Constitution, where states can legislate on issues which concern the states. But the center has the power also to legislate on issues coming within the jurisdiction of the state. Police powers are administrative exercises of power which are now taking turns which are very different from policing. They're becoming a tit-for-tat situation, which at the end of the day is not auguring well for anybody. Political use of the police, political use of the CBI has become the commonplace affair of today. For the slightest thing, the CBI is called in. For the slightest thing, the State Department policemen are called in, the economic offences wins and so on and so forth, of this local CIDs. Personally speaking, this is not good. It is not in the larger health of a democracy. It is not correct in a system where the hustings decide the rights, not the police. If you're going to look what's happening in Bengal. One officer is transferred, another one comes in. See what happened in Mumbai in the recent past. Police officers are involved in all sorts of heckling and activities. Even today they are. So it's not giving in a right action or a right impression of what policing is.
Yes.
We are abusing the police for personal benefits, basically in orientations which have two situations, either A, politics, B, money. Both these are anathema to a good democracy. We must discontinue this practice, learn to live within our limits, and move the democratic system for the purpose of a democracy, not for an autocracy, both state and center. Bengal, Maharashtra, now Kerala, earlier Bihar. There were instances in UP at one point of time. There are instances in Madhya Pradesh. So it's becoming one political party against the other. It is no longer a government against the government. It is the government being used by a political party for the purposes of abusing the system and taking advantage.
And let's not forget where you are joining us from, the national capital, where also, a few years ago, this was the norm.
I deliberately avoided mentioning it because at this point of time, you also have an act coming in to decide the powers of the.
Oh yes, absolutely. But imagine if this trend picks up further. Now, there was a situation in Bengal when the central officials landed in Bengal to question the top cop. Now, while Mamata Banerjee tried her best to block them, stop them, intimidate them and send them back, she never thought of at that time to file a counter complaint and put them behind bars. Now, imagine what happens if it happens in Mumbai now, where again two agencies are at loggerheads. And what if tomorrow now the ATS turns around and files a counter case against the NIA officials? And now I'm beginning to also get concerned about all of these officials who are stuck in the middle of it because of the political situation. But let me ask...
Here there is one issue which I want to raise.
Yes, if you will allow me, Mr. Vasudev, to just get in our two other experts, and I will come back to you.
I just wanted to say something, go to the other expert, that there must be very learned people. Here is where the individual officer must show spine. Say, this is not my business, I won't do it. But if you become supplying to the system, you will have this chaos coming in and it's going to get worse over the years.
Absolutely, absolutely right. But for those who do stand up, what happens then? And I'm sure that plays out in the mind of every officer in these tricky situations. I'm not justifying anybody's actions though. But Vinod, Matthew, how have we reached this point in this specific case? A case that obviously exploded in the run-up to this election season and now seems to be turning on its head in the peak of the season.
Good evening. Hi, Tanvi. Panelists. Shall I start off by saying that, from the Kerala perspective, this is not a major development. Okay, the question of federalism has been raised, but those questions will have to be answered over a period of time where the other states will follow suit, etc. But from the Kerala perspective, what we've seen today, you use the word counter case. Yeah, it is a counter. It's a counterpart or a counter case that's been filed. Right. But, and also, Advocate General has taken time over it and poured over the legalities of it and come to the conclusion that can be done, right? So, okay, Kerala, this case is the first such case, a bold move, all that. But let us look at the politics of it. Less than 3 weeks to go for the elections. This comes up amid this is a time when the political discourse is heating up. A lot of issues have come to light. Debates are over a lot of things, and many surveys find out whether BJP is relevant or not. Now, with this one discussion, suddenly the fight is between the left and the BJP. Congress is out of the picture suddenly. So this is the twist to the political narrative that has happened today. Suddenly, the big fighters, imagine a scene from a movie. The fight was between the Congress or the UDF and the LDF. Suddenly, UDF is pushed out of the frame. Another guy takes over, and that is the central agency that represents the BJP, the NDA. That is the political context. Now, I think it's not very critical to Kerala election. It's just like firing those decoys or flares to take the missile away from the intended target. So, Kerala point of view, yeah, there is a case, there is a counter case. One way you can look at it, I mean, they have the
So
LDF,
let
the
me
government.
ask you this, Vinod. Let me ask you this
Yeah.
question. Why would
Yes.
the LDF want the attention to move from Congress and the UDF to the BJP when BJP is not really a major contender? Or is there something in the
Precisely because of
fine
that.
arithmetic there?
Tanvi, precisely because they are not a major contender. Now, if the fight gets between the two heavyweights, then blows are going to land. Now, if you get to fight a lower division weight category contestant, I think it is, I mean, you understand what I'm saying.
Correct.
The narrative has been changed, and it's a bit of shadow boxing going on. That is my opinion, my take. I think it is largely echoed uh, amongst a lot of people.
Okay.
So it is as per script. It is stage managed, and that's it. Because the whole case started in July, the first week of July, 6th or something. This smuggling case, 7.5 months now, and I mean it's not gone anywhere.
Yeah.
It's pretty much where it doesn't move seriously. Okay.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question for you
Swapna,
as well, Vinod. But if you can just stay
yes.
on, and I'll come back to that aspect in just a bit. To what extent has this controversy dented or not dented the LDF and Pinarayi Vijayan's image? But first up, I must go now to Matthew Anthony. I don't know on ground, Matthew, whether the Congress is out of the picture because of this controversy. But here, Congress definitely has a chance to make a point.
Thanks, Tanvi. Good evening. And taking cue to what Vinod has said, I would strongly disagree with what he said, that no, Congress is out of the picture, because Congress is poising towards a positive win in Kerala. And the whole ED Kerala police battle is a political negotiation between BJP and the CPM for vested interest of allowing an entry of BJP into Kerala. So that's why you can see the whole intent and motive of the whole case is political, and it's political malice from both sides. The political reasons for this is, for the BJP, they are using the central agencies to negotiate an entry with the CPM, with the kind of revelations which is coming from the BJP insiders, especially the people who are running from the BJP RSS background, making the revelations that there is a tacit understanding between the BJP and the CPM for votes and for an election victory. This is something somewhere colluding to that negotiating pressure of how many seats we need to have these adjustments, and the CPM is using the state power to negotiate it back. The second thing is also CPM, with a sense of realization that there is an anti-incumbency which is against them, is trying to posture a positioning to show the minority community in the state that we are the only ones who can take on the Narendra Modi government, whereas the state is actually tilting towards the Congress victory. So that's a point which we have to make. This is completely a political negotiations between the BJP and CPM for making an entry for BJP into Kerala, with a tacit understanding from the CPM for it and a support for it.
Or it could be, Professor Varshney, the messaging that, look, not only are we going to take on our rivals here in Kerala, we are also going to be taking on the BJP, and you're trying to now cash in into that anti-BJP sentiment as well in the state of Kerala to further strengthen your lead here.
To me, or
Look, Tanvi, in Kerala, we have a state fight not with the BJP. BJP is not a force to be reckoned with in Kerala.
Correct.
The BJP is trying, that is why the BJP is trying to tarnish the image of the Pinarayi Vijayan and the left government to help the Congress.
But they're not doing that anymore. That they did 6-8 months ago, Professor Varshney.
Unfortunately,
you have reignited the case, not the BJP.
Let me present you the case, then you will understand. See the case, the judgment on Sabrimala entry of the women of all age. The Congress sided with whom? With the BJP and the right reaction. With the BJP and right reaction. Each and every case, just to throw away the left government, they are siding with or they have knowingly or unknowingly fallen into the trap of the right reaction, BJP and RSS. Which is very unfortunate, and Rahul Gandhi ji and Sonia Gandhi ji should understand this thing. this they will understand sooner or later. You see, you have to fight the right reaction ideologically, and the biggest fight to the right reaction, RSS or BJP, is given by the left parties in the country, not only in Kerala, in Tripura, in Bengal, everywhere in the country, and that is why you find that the BJP is trying to attack the largest to the communist movement, largest to the communist leaders, and the same thing is followed in Kerala. I would like to ask you the question, is the officers of the central agency or central agency are the sacrosanct that they cannot be booked? Which law says that they cannot be booked if they tamper with the evidences or they try to punish and they make the evidences a prover with one or the other
No, so you're right. There is no law stopping them.
You another thing.
No, Professor Varshney, let me, you've raised this for the second time, so allow me to respond to this. You are right. There is no law that stops the state to file this case, the police to file this case. If there is a complaint, if there is evidence you believe needs to be looked into. My argument is, if the accused and any of the witnesses are willing to give an official statement that I was pressurized, that I was forced to name somebody, that this evidence is fabricated, or my statements were not read out to me and this signature is of no value, all of that, Professor Varshney, can even be done in the existing ED case when it reaches the court during the trial time. The court will look at all of the evidence, at all of the testimonies, at all of the statements and what the accused or witnesses have to say. Where is the need for a counter complaint right now or a counter case?
No,
the existing case, witnesses and the accused can just say this. How many times have accused and witnesses changed their testimonies in an existing case in our country? It happens all the time and the court factors that in.
First of all, I want to respond on this subject.
Look, Tanvi,
See,
1 minute, Anand. 1 minute, Anand. Professor Varshney first.
That she was not allowed to make the statement. So look, as and when the evidences comes out that the Swapna Suresh was not allowed to read the statement, was not allowed to give her statement fully, and video clips clearly shows that she has been pressurized to become an approver. On the basis of that, she named the Chief Minister. Then, as and when the cases come, the government has to launch an FIR. They are duty bound to have an FIR against those officials, those who try to work on behalf of the central masters. They should know that they are the officials of the ED. They are not the officials of the BJP. The Enforcement Directorate is the directorate of the government of India and not the BJP only. So they should know this thing. And for government of India, the government Kerala also exists as per the Constitution of India. The government of Kerala has its own rights and the government of India has its own right, as Vasudev Saab has said.
Okay.
So they are well within their jurisdiction to have an FIR.
Okay. Yes, Anand Gurumurthy wanted to make a point.
The point is, the CPIM guys and all the CPI guys, the LDF guys especially, they continuously, support their leader, who is being, accused by one of the accused in this case. And continuously, the officials are also trying to implicate others who are working on this case. They are officials again. So this clearly shows that the Kerala official machinery is being, by the political people there, they are being pressurized to do this. And despite this, our panelists or our journalists there are not observing this, and they are telling that this is a case, which the central government is picking up. No, the central government is duty bound. When gold smuggling is happening, it's duty bound to bring in this point and bring in the ED officials here. When they are working on the case, the entire political machinery, the CM himself is,
So who was handling the diplomatic bag, Anand Gurumurthy? Who was handling the diplomatic bag? Who cleared the diplomatic bag? Who customs comes under whom?
He gets elected, he will continue for 5 more years. There will be another 1,000 Nambi Narayan, ISRO scientists and other scientists in this state. That's always going to happen if the journalist community and the other, politically aware people and the people of Kerala don't stand up for this, then I tell you, this is going to be another debacle if the CM continues again. So he has to
Okay. I'm going to ask Mr. Vinod Matthew to respond to that.
Respond to what precisely?
To the point being made by the BJP that if the journalist community and the people of Kerala don't stand up to the government and to the left party right now in this case, then there will be so many more Nambiar instances for the next 5 years.
That is precisely what the left would say and the Congress would say. Stand up with us. Stand with us. Stand with us.
I
Right.
want to know from you, sir.
Stand with us. That's what all the parties want. Yeah, great. But let me again come back to the point about shadow boxing that's going on here. It is, 7.5 protracted months. Everybody wondered when the case started and got in the second month, how will it last till the elections? Now we know. Now, friends from Congress were saying that I was wrong and went on to say, pretty much repeated what I said. Now the whole thing is about the central agencies drop hints about big guns being there, and they'll soon be unearthed. Then we hear that the speaker is going to be questioned, but nothing like that is going to happen. This will go on and ban CM's name. So why is the CM not being questioned? So it is like a slow dance, the waltz, they're waltzing with each other. And it's been going on for a bit of a long time. 7 months is a long time. And this will go on till after the election.
Yeah.
Nothing conclusive. Okay. Now, I'm not taking sides. I'm not saying this is that. I'm not saying BJP or CPM or Congress. Congress, unfortunately, friend from Congress has been a bit sidelined in this fight between David and Goliath. No, David and Goliath. Of course, the fight is between Congress and CPM, and their respective allies. But in this case, the attempt is definitely to keep Congress out. That's what
Okay. The point that you made, and you're very right there, that this will go on even post-elections. Maybe it will die out for a bit, and in the next round before general elections or before the next state elections, the whole case and the investigation will get reignited. Suddenly, the ED or any other agency will find that file and file the charge sheet and all of that. That's how it goes. I don't know why politicians still believe that this works with the voters, that the voters genuinely think that this is, such kind of investigations become a deciding factor when they cast their vote. But that's the unfortunate part, Mr. Kailash Vastev. The use of the agencies and the state police department, and at the end of the day, we never know if there was corruption or any wrongdoing in reality.
Look at it this way. This case has been going on for over a year. The NIA came in, the Customs Department came in, everybody came in. Today, on a certain allegation, you file a state case. All right, do it. You have your government, do what you want. But the fact of the matter is this, that in our system in India, we had a lot of faith at the time of our independence in what would be a future of a nation with a constructive view. Today, the way the police is going, the way the authorities are going, the way everybody is kowtowing to political power, how the bureaucrats are functioning, how the politicians themselves are going against constitutional norms, we are moving to a very peculiar situation for the future. We have abandoned good governance for private governance. We have abandoned good economies for private economies. We have abandoned the system of of exercising powers in a manner which should be in the interest of the people to an interest of the self. And I'm saying this with emphasis because everywhere you are noticing this today. You had mentioned Delhi at one point of time. The clash between the center and the state is costing the city very dearly. And this is going to continue till as long as there's a division in the center and the central government and the state government. It is now necessary for us to restructure our entire working of the bureaucracy, of the entire working of our police systems, and getting into it an independent line of thought. The Home Ministry cannot look after the homes of others. It must look after the home of India. The state departments must look after their own homes, not interject into areas which fall outside the domain of correct policing. We are now moving into an anarchist system. And if we don't control it, you will find that all situations, What are we doing to prevent crime? Actual crime on the ground. See the number of murders and rapes going up by the day. See them in any state. See the number of robberies. See the number of chain snatching cases. Where is the constable in the beat to attend to all this stuff? He has got time to go and lodge an FIR at the best of a political master, but he doesn't have the courage to take action against the local people, against the local crime situation, which affect the average citizen. Why? Because he does not get an opportunity to gain a promotion in solving a local crime. He gets a promotion if he files a crime at the behest of a political master. We have got to change this. Personally speaking, I feel very strongly on these issues, and it is time that a message goes down to all of us. Either govern correctly or don't govern at all, but don't ruin what we have.
Absolutely.
We are ruining everything which we have.
And I feel that there needs to be something that is done to protect the credibility of these agencies and ensure that they're able to work in a manner where, you know, some kind of truth comes out and justice is done apart from just politics being played out. And it's every party. Every party does that, yes.
Please forget every party. You saw the huge dispute in the CBI between a director and another director.
Yes.
What did we do for the institution? We ruined the CBI's reputation. It doesn't have much, but whatever little it had has gone.
And nothing happened in those allegations. Everybody's forgotten about it, except that the CBI's credibility was dented. Absolutely.
And everybody got benefits out of the postings.
Absolutely. All right. Yes, Matthew Anthony wants to make a point. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to make a point on what the friends from the BJP and the CPI panelists said. That there's a competition between them, to prove that who's a better don, in terms of managing the fight between the both of proving who's the most anarchist amongst them, or who's the most unconstitutional amongst them. Congress is very clear that people of Kerala is very clear that the CM was a part of the conspiracy of the gold smuggling. That's why they can see all the ill-earned wealth is coming out in the advertisement and the heavy funded campaign of the CPIM in Kerala. Now, what Vinod said about the BJP or the Congress losing out, and also about the professor saying about the Congress caring about BJP or an understanding with BJP, we have no understanding with BJP. We have given the best candidate to win back the seat which Kerala has given to BJP. That's an MM seat. A sitting MP has been brought in to fight that battle. So we have amply made it very clear, visibly loud and clear, that we are fighting BJP to the nail to make sure that we win this battle in Kerala. So we are very clear on where we are. We are winning
so
this election.
Where are you on this development today? Where are you on this development? Since you truly believe that Chief Minister was indeed linked to that entire case, and that the left is guilty. Now, in this counter reaction, where do you stand?
The legal position of that is, very clear that, the state police can take
no, not the legal position, but is the charge of fabricated evidence valid or not? Is the charge about pressurizing the accused into naming the Chief Minister valid or not?
We have made our political stand very clear. There is a political malice of throwing mud between both the sides, so we don't have a position on that one. It is basically mudslinging from both sides about a political understanding to negotiate the seats for making a strong entry for BJP into Kerala, supported by the CPM. So we are not taking a political stand. We are very clear that both the parties are involved in a mudslinging for a political understanding and for a political entry facilitated by CPM for BJP in Kerala.
But legally, since this is a valid thing, this is something that the Congress party can also explore in several other states where you keep crying foul that the central agencies is coming after your leaders, right? From Mr. Huda and Vadra to Mr. Chidambaram and DK Shivakumar in Karnataka. I'm sure centrally the parties are already looking at this kind of an option. Let me go back to Vinod on what the Congress party stand on this is, Vinod. And politically, will it help to have such a distant, ambivalent stand on an issue which was otherwise, getting people politically charged up?
I think initially Congress was the party that brought this out or kept it going for a while. But then the moment the discourse started getting limited to two players, center versus state. I'm not talking party here. I'm talking center versus state. Congress fit in. So they are not in this particular narrative. So the best in their best interest, they should be trying to bring in other issues to the fore, where they can be a relevant party. Here they are not in the picture. That's one thing that I've been trying to say throughout. They're not in the picture, and it suits the purpose of the other two to keep them out of the picture. That's it. It is in their interest to try to come back with other issues, which they will do. That's why this particular thing is going to be short-lived.
Okay, as is most of the stories in the election season, and the flavor of the week and flavor of the day changes, as we go along from Kerala to Tamil Nadu, Bengal and Assam. That's what we're looking at. But thank you so much to all of our panelists for joining us. I'm out of time on this conversation. Allow me to just say this, viewers. Perhaps we will never know the truth behind this Kerala gold smuggling scam. We will never know what really happened, who are the guilty. Was there a link to Pinarayi Vijayan that could have been proven? What we do know is now this is an all-out political central versus state war. Things may change if tomorrow there's another party at the helm of affairs in Kerala. We don't know. But what is dangerous and what is problematic is the brazen use of investigative agencies and law and order agencies and probe agencies by our political parties, whether it's in states and whether it's at center. Whether it's in Bengal, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Delhi, Maharashtra, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, in any state, that's the dangerous trend. And today with this development, with a state government's decision to go after the ED officials, to name ED officials and file cases against them, a counter case in such a big scam, it just sets a very, very dangerous precedent. Imagine if other state governments didn't start doing this. In every investigation by a central agency against a state or a political party, there will be now more counter cases. The truth will never come out, only political shadow boxing will continue. Out of time. Thank you for joining us.